Hey guys, I'm Andrews with Adam Audio, and today we are back with City Acoustics to talk about how they build their acoustic panels. So today we are with Graham and Gabe of City Acoustics. So can you guys kind of walk us through the steps that you take when you are building your panels?
Yeah, so we pretty much start everything with raw lumber. We normally start with sheets of plywood. We break that down into dimensional lumber, cut all that to size, cut our fabric to size depending on the size of the panels, the insulation as well. So we use mineral wool in all of our products. And then once everything's cut and ready to go and assembled, then we wrap it all up with the fabric, and then we deliver them, install them, or ship them off to wherever they're going. So yeah, we start with normal 1x3s. You can find them at any home center like Lowe's or Home Depot. So we'll take just a couple of these guys, get them ready to cut over here on the miter saw, and then I'll get one other board. So we put we have a strip of 1/2-inch wood that goes in the back of the frames just to add some extra rigidity and keep everything square. So we'll cut that as well. So all of our frames are pretty much sized, pretty standard sizes. If we have a 4-foot by 2-foot panel, the outside dimensions of that panel are 4 feet by 2 foot. So the insulation on the inside is gonna be a little bit smaller just to accommodate the offset of the wood frame. We're gonna have 2 pieces that are 23 7/8 inches, 2 pieces that are 46 1/2 inches, and then from our 1/2-inch board, we're gonna have 1 piece that is 22 1/2 inches. All right, so now we've got the wood cut. We'll go ahead and get our fabric prepped and cut, and then we'll come back and assemble the frame, and then we'll get the insulation, and then we'll put it all together. So this is the fabric cutting table we use. We've got this set to 3 feet for this panel. So for a 4 by 2 foot panel, we're normally working with a 1 yard piece of fabric. So we'll just go ahead and get that cut. And then we also use a piece of backing fabric so there's no exposed mineral wool on the panels. And that's what this white fabric here is. So we'll take both of these over, get that frame built, and then get the panel built. So we use templates or different tables for all the different size panels that we make. So here we have the 4-foot by 2-foot template. If you're doing this at home, you can build your own template or use a square just to make sure all the corners of your panels are gonna line up and stay square, so that if you're putting multiple ones together, everything lines up, stays nice and flush. This is really just that on a more permanent basis so that we don't have to build a new one every time we make a panel. So we typically nail our panels and all the frames together while they're in the templates. So the first step is just putting the wood, laying it out in the template. Making sure nothing's gonna get stuck in between this joint so that everything's nice and tight and will stay together for a long time. Then we'll take our nail gun, make sure you keep your fingers out of the way if you're using a nail gun. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And then just finish up the frame on the opposite side of the panel. All right, so the last step for making this frame is gonna be just to put in that 1/2-inch spacer that we cut back at the miter saw. And this helps hold everything in place, keep it all square, make sure there's no bowing in the frame. So we've got some spacers that we put in here to make sure that we line up our support piece correctly. We'll pop this in here, make sure everything lines up well, and this will get nailed in as well. And then our frame is ready to go. So we will then get the insulation ready. Insulation that gets used in acoustic panels normally comes in 4-foot by 2-foot pieces. So to get them into these frames, you just gotta cut a little bit off of each side so that the dimensions of your insulation are gonna be 46.5 by 22.5, which matches the inside dimensions of the frame we just made. All right, so we'll go ahead and get the insulation cut to size so that it fits well in the frame. Let me go grab it, and then I'll bring it back to the saw here, and we will get it cut. Don't forget to plug in the saw. All right, then I'll just double check that we cut it to the right size. Everything looks good. We'll take it over to our frame and get it all wrapped up. So we've got our fabric, both for the front of the panel and the backing fabric, our frame and our insulation right over there. So I will go ahead and get this all laid out. So first we'll lay out our fabric face down. Some fabrics are the exact same on both sides. Some that you'll find are gonna have a front and a back. This stuff does have a front, so I just wanna make sure that the front side is face down so that everything is showing correctly once the frame's wrapped. With fabric, you know, you want something that is tightly knit enough to make sure that it holds in all of the particles from the insulation material that you're using. All the fabric that we use on our panels is fire rated so that it can go into any commercial space and not have any issues with codes, that kind of thing. For any residential use, you can get away with most things. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that it's acoustically transparent so that it's not going to be reflecting any of that energy that you're trying to absorb back into your room. Typically the thing people say is as long as you can like breathe through it or blow air through it and it'll get through, so will the sound and the acoustic energy in your room. And that is a pretty good rule of thumb to follow. So next step is just to grab that mineral wool that we cut over there. We'll place this down on our fabric. There's not much of a key here other than just to kind of center it so we have plenty of fabric to stretch around the frame. I'll take our frame, make sure that all fits well, and then take our backing fabric, and this will go over the top. And this just helps keep everything neat, make sure even on the back side of the panel there aren't any pieces of mineral or anything getting out and falling down into your room. So now we've got it all laid out, we'll go ahead and start stapling the backing fabric first, and then we'll get to the front fabric and wrap it all up, and then the acoustic panel will be done and ready to go. So acoustic panels take a lot of staples. So if you're going to the store to buy some, make sure you get the big box. If you're making a lot of panels, get a few of them. You cannot have too many staples while you're doing this. So we will go ahead and get started. Before I go on to wrapping the front fabric for this, so the purple fabric, I'll just go ahead and cut off the excess from our backing fabric here. Now we are ready for the front. This is kind of like wrapping a present. The sides of this are pretty easy. The corners get a little tricky, but all in all, it's pretty easy. Just takes a few of them, you kind of get the hang of it, and then you'll be on your way. We always start with the two long sides of the panel, and then we'll wrap those corners on the short sides. It's the easiest way we found to do it. Keeps everything looking really clean. So we'll go ahead and start with this first corner. We'll start on the corner on my right and then work my way to the left and then fold all that back in the middle. Then we'll just repeat that for the same thing on the other side. One little tip is this is a lot easier if you cut off all the extra that you don't need down here. So I'm gonna shorten this up a little bit so I don't have so much extra fabric that I have to work with and fold up. Then we'll just go ahead and do the same thing, cutting off the extra. And then it should be ready to go. Flip it over, maybe clean it off a little bit. Okay, a panel has emerged.
All right, well, that was kind of how the professionals build panels. It's pretty simple, but thank you guys so much for showing us how you guys do it. And as always, you can find out more about Music City Acoustics in the description below.
If you have any questions about building your own panels or ordering panels from us or anything having to do with acoustics, just reach out to us. You can find us at our website at musiccityaacoustics.com. We'd be happy to help.
Like always, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, subscribe. Stay tuned for more.